Hey guys, Steve Zelnardo here with Remax West, Zelnardo Associates. Welcome to the month of March. We're going to talk about some questions here. Chris is going to ask me about the market and we'll go from there.
So with the current prices of homes, obviously it's super hard for first-time home buyers to get into the market.
Yeah.
Looking forward into the next 5 to 10 years, what do you think is going to happen? Is there going to be any changes that need to be made by like the government or mortgages?
For first-time buyers?
Yeah, or how's it going to be in the next 5 to 10 years for first-time home buyers?
We don't know. I don't know. Like, we don't even know what's going to happen next month, right? Like, obviously, if the prices remain at this current pace, like, or even they stay at this rate, if they don't descend any further, like, first-time home buyers are pretty much out of the market. For definitely freehold residential, like townhouses, semis, detaches, they're out. Their only option is condos. And again, condos have gone, I mean, brand new builds are like over $1,200, $1,300 a foot now. So I don't know, do fast math. Let's say you get a studio apartment with 500 square feet times 1,300, it's like 650. So who's going to be able to afford that on a single income? So I think the first time buyers really, they have to be strategic, and you got to go back. You always got to go back to what was done in the past, not in the last 10 years. I'm talking like 50, 100 years, whatever it is. If you look at any immigrating population, is they always bought properties together with families. And what happens is, it's a joint venture basically, if you want to, spice up the language. But it's a joint venture. So let's just say someone, first-time buyer, 25 years old, young professional in the city that works in the city, or even in York region, whatever, or Dufferin or Durham, whatever, wherever there's condos around. So young professional, but naturally at $600K, they can't afford it because you have to put 20, if they want to put 20% down on that, it's, they're going to mortgage of $480,000, which they won't get qualified for unless they won't. It's just impossible now with the total debt ratios and stuff like that. So what they would do is basically joint venture. So naturally find a sibling, or if a family member would want to joint venture with them, or a friend rather. So instead of getting a 1-bedroom condo, maybe get a 2-bedroom. Or a 1+1, you know what I mean? And they're gonna have to kind of live together until, that property appreciates to a certain amount of money and the mortgage pay down, then they can sell that and then, branch off and do their own thing. It's the only way to do it, I think, right now. And I think even when they're doing that, wisely would probably buy another property at the same time and still jointly own that. They're gonna have to do that again, but like at 25 years old, let's say they do that for 5 years, they're at 30. It's tough, right? It's very tough. Mm-hmm. If things continue the way they're going, like I have young kids, this is a concern of mine too. This is why we're investing money elsewhere outside the country. This is a huge concern for me and my children. And it's like, where do they buy? What do they own? Maybe nothing. Maybe they just rent. The way things looking, that might be the only option, is to be a renter community rather. And we're not the first nation to do that, or first country. This is Europe. You don't buy property in Europe, or especially Italy, like you're working in Milan or whatever you are, like you rent. That's just, you rent for the rest of your life, right? New York is like that too, I would imagine, a lot of portions of it, because it's just so unaffordable. And people there, they live together. If they're, young business people or in the entertainment industry, they live in an apartment together. They split the rents and stuff like that. So yeah, I would look at other countries for sure and see how they're living, because that's how we're going to go here in this direction. I always say we're a very young country, and we don't have a lot of population, which is even more weird. And this is already happening to us, because those, the height of Rome in the Roman times, 1 million people in the city of Rome. You know what I mean? That was in the Roman times. This is huge. And then now I don't know what they're at currently now, but it's like, I think all of Italy is 70 million people, and it's like less than the size of Ontario, you know what I mean? And we're the size of Russia, and we're only got 35 million people. So it's just weird, like where we're gonna get this influx of population, So I don't know. It's tough. I would even start to consider looking elsewhere, trying to find something else outside the country. If there's opportunities in the States, maybe that's a good option. Yeah, I know people, they're not too happy with the way they run their country and their politics and stuff like that, but it might be a better place to grow family, to be honest. Affordability is there.
And with the way that mortgages are set up right now, do you see anything maybe changing? Like maybe increasing amortization to 40 years or something like that?
Yeah, even if they do, the problem is we have a monopoly with banks. It's again, we're a small country and we're controlled by everything. So if you got 6 big banks, Do you think they don't talk to each other and like, hey guys, what do you think? RBC and CIBC calling. What do you think we should post the rate at? Okay, well, let's keep it within each other, like 20, 30 basis points, because I don't want to screw you out of business, and let's keep these things high. It's like the insurance companies here. It's the same idea. It's a huge monopoly. And even if they did a 40-year RAM, it doesn't matter. You're paying less principal down and more interest. So they're making more money on you, and it's taking you longer to pay down the property. So there's no advantage. Again, we're only here once. We don't have a sequel. We're not coming back in part 2 where the first 80 years of my life I'm going to pay off a mortgage, and then the next, the sequel, and when I start at, year 1, I'll have a house paid for. So I think we're going to have to start making moves outside the country to figure things out until this gets better. And again, if this gets better, then you come back and you do your thing. But I don't think there's anything wrong with the States, the way they're set. Naturally, there's a lot of social issues, there's a whole bunch of crap going on. But I'm looking more at quality of life. We always talk about, we have this amazing healthcare. I don't know if you've been to the hospital. I know when my dad had his massive stroke in 2020, it was the worst thing you could have ever experienced, like third world. So I'm thinking, and I don't go to the hospital ever. So that was like one of my first experiences to deal with a loved one that needed care, and it was disorganized. My dad was nearly dead, and they brought him from one hospital to another because they couldn't take him in. There's no intake. They almost killed him by driving him around. I don't know how he pulled through, to be honest. So why is that here? Disorganization, government-run businesses that are just this sloppy, to be honest. And if we look at our income tax here, we're paying 53% on the high side. How much of that is going to healthcare? I would imagine a hell of a lot of it. You know what I mean? So if you can go to the States and for a family of 4 is about $18,000 to $19,000 US, let's say. Like let's say 25K Canadian if you want to convert it. It's not a big expense if you're paying 53% of your taxes here. How much is that going to healthcare, right? And it's not only you, your wife's paying a tax. You know what I'm saying? Your kids will be paying a tax once they start getting a job. So how much of this money is going to healthcare? We're getting really, really mediocre service. So really, what's holding us here? I don't know. Do we think that we're, better than the rest and we're a peaceful civilization like we used to be? Like you're a Canadian, you're known for peace? I don't know. Since this last couple of years, it's obviously turned on its head, right? Just through COVID and post-pandemic and stuff like that. Doesn't look good. So I think, for first-time buyers, I mean, this is a real conversation, an adult conversation, and it's not, hey, it's, like it's all glory and everything. I think this is something you really got to sit down and consider for your future. If this will be the place you'd want to reside. Yeah. A little sad, but really true. It's true, right? What are you gonna do? This is real talk, right? If I can shine this up and make this look as good as I want, but it wouldn't be me if I would be bullshitting, especially here on YouTube. So, this is my thoughts anyway. If you have any comments on what I said and if you think I'm wrong, please put them in the comments below. I'd like to hear what you have to say because obviously good conversation is how we get through things. And that's pretty much it, guys. If you like these conversations, please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll get you on the next one.